All right, what's up YouTube? I'm back with another video, and I've realized in my previous videos I have yet to really dive in and kind of give a general video on what my manga They Want Was Ours will be about. Even though this manga is still in its very early part of its development, I am at the very least finished with the premise of volume 1, the premise of the story actually, and I kind of want to give context to the story for those who may be interested. I don't want to kind of just bamboozle anybody with something like later down the line. I kind of just want to put it all out, so if you are interested you can keep track. If you aren't, you really don't have to stick around. It's kind of one of those things. But without further ado, let's get into the story, starting with the genre. So after thinking about what genre I wanted to put this story in, compared to like the traditional shonen, the other genres of like, I forget the names of them, I've decided to go with seinen. If you guys don't know what seinen is, it's manga directed towards adults. It's more like mature, that touch on darker topics, touch on more like grounded topics. They aren't superhero heavy like My Hero Academia, Naruto, or Hunter x Hunter. I sound like MGK. But these mangas touch up on topics that are more personable to the reader or viewer, and things that people can usually relate to. You know, think of stories like Finland Saga or Berserk. Hopefully nobody went through what Gus went through in Berserk. That's kind of crazy. Tokyo Ghoul, Parasite, and even Uzumaki I found out was actually considered a seinen. It makes sense, but I didn't really expect it to be like, I guess there's many different like genres of stories in a seinen. But that's where I'm leading with the story, and that is just to give a general idea of what to expect when you do pick up this manga, if you do end up picking it up. Who knows? Now let's move on to why I chose the seinen. Now earlier on I did speak on how I like the way it touches up on more personable topics. For me, a deeper dive into why I chose it is because when I set out the goal to create the story, I wanted to create something that I would enjoy reading, that I would enjoy creating myself. A big thing that a lot of professional comic creators, mangakas, is that they ask the question, would you even read your own manga? Do you care about the numbers? If you care about the numbers, it's probably a reason you should stop trying to make this manga. If you don't care about the manga and you would actually read this, do your thing. That is something I've heard commonly throughout starting this journey, and as I stand right now with the story I do have in mind, with the vision I have, this does seem like something I would enjoy to read. I would enjoy to go back on and just go through, and I wouldn't mind it. Me personally, that's kind of one of the big reasons why I decided to go with seinen. Out of all the different types of mangas, animes, whatever, this genre is what leans to me the most because I'm older, I'm in my 20s, so shonens don't really appeal to me like they used to when I was a teenager. It's kind of redundant at this point, like seeing the protagonist be unrealistically positive towards things, though they do achieve their dreams. It's kind of just something that I'm kind of burnt out of, and I'm like in a taste for something more, you know. Seeing characters go through more serious character development arcs are something that are starting to appeal to me more, and I feel like with my protagonist I'll be able to execute that properly in this genre. So speaking of Rose and how she will function in the story, let's get more into that part. What will They Want Was Ours be about? Okay, for the story itself, it will be more of a dark fantasy. I always loved dark fantasy. I grew up playing Dark Souls. Elden Ring is like one of my all-time favorite games. Bloodborne is fire too, but I just really love dark fantasy, and I've always kind of just been drawn towards that atmosphere, for lack of better words, ever since I was younger. So I've decided to kind of put more of my passion into what I wanted to create and just refine it more into like something that I actually would enjoy to create and not feel like a slug going through. Though in the story we will be following under the perspective of Rakasha Sangros, also known as Rose in the story, as she tries to figure out where she fits in the world of They Want Was Ours. To kind of give context without being too spoiler heavy, it also kind of ties into the power system too, which is why I'm trying to not say too much. But Rakasha is born with something that not many people are born with. Well, basically nobody else is born with. The only other people or group that is born with what Rakasha has is a royal family within the story. So outside of that family, no one else has this gift that she has. Gift could be literally interchangeable with curse, power, whatever word you want to use for it. But basically, as she is growing up, she struggles to fit in. She struggles to make friends. She's seen as this weird kid because of these random spurts of her quote-unquote gift popping out throughout the world. So at the time of volume 0, she'll be closer to 16, 17, and she will already kind of have her place in the world. Since volume 0 does serve as a prelude before volume 1 actually comes out, this will take place when she's like 16, 17, where she will kind of figure out more about herself. As stated before, the royal family that is in the story, they're the only people who could possibly know what Rose is going through. To also add to that, they also don't stay in the same town, so it's very isolating for Rose as she's grown up. She really doesn't have anybody she can just run to day to day besides a family that lives or good horse ride away. So with volume 0, the story won't really be too action heavy. It will be a lot more story driven in terms of showing the reader how Rose operates day to day, what she thinks about, and how she sees herself within the story from her interactions with all of the other people who stay in the village with her. But like I said, this quote-unquote gift, power, whatever you want to call it, it ties heavily into the power system, and I feel like for me to explain this power system full and fleshed out, it will literally spoil some of the story, so I really can't even do it. So I'm trying super hard to not be too vague but not be too open at the same time, because I don't want to kill the whole like point of volume 0. As of now, I'm now working on the script for the story. The outline for the events that are going to take place is already done. We're just now moving on to what the characters will say, how would they react, basically the boring part of creating this volume. So who would a story be for? This is a question I actually stumbled across that I actually don't really have a good answer for. Not in terms of I don't think anyone would like this, but more so in the aspect of with this story being more of a slow burn, especially for volume 0, it's really hard to say because the story is going to be action oriented. It is going to have some action in there. It's going to have some horror elements in there. Ultimately, like I said, following within the dark fantasy theme. But when it comes to saying who exactly the story will be for, there isn't necessarily a demographic I would say, because you could find a fan in all types of demographics. But to answer this question, if you are somebody that likes to kind of figure out the story as they read along and go page by page, you will enjoy the story for sure. And this story isn't going to be heavy on exposition dumping, the lore, or the power system even. I really do want to respect the reader in their comprehension with this story, so I'm going to leave a lot of things for the reader to kind of put 2 and 2 together, and not even really put 2 and 2 together because it'll all come full circle in the story. But I don't want to blatantly state, oh, she has this power because of this, or her power works like this, or she's special because of this. Like, I'm not trying to make things like super exposition heavy. I'm not trying to have a whole page basically explaining something that could literally just slow down the flow of the story. So for me, this story will be a lot more slow burn, I would consider, especially with the first couple of volumes. I have decided to do a part 2 of volume 02, so there might even be a volume 0.5 or something that I come up with in the future before I even get to volume 1, which should take place like a couple years after volume 0 and volume 0.5. Hopefully that does give enough context to the story itself. As I said before, I really do want to try to avoid saying too much while spoiling the story, because I really feel like for me this is going to be a story where once you find out what happens, that's going to pull you in even more. I don't want to just spill out everything and then basically ruin the experience for anyone who is interested, and for those future viewers who end up coming to this video in the future. With that being said, the story itself, I'm gonna just keep it a buck, it's not going to come out until 2027. It's not going to come out until next year. This is super early early in the development. I'm still working on the world itself and how it is going to be built out. I'm also figuring out the rest of the characters along with the protagonist, which ultimately shouldn't even take that long. That process in itself should honestly take no more than a month. The big reason why this process should even be lengthy as is because mainly drawing the pages. I feel like drawing the pages is probably going to be the biggest thing I'll have to worry about with the story besides everything else. The standard I know of nowadays is like 1 to 2 pages a day, or even more if you can push through. So taking that in, and with me projecting between 150 to 300 pages, this could take a bit. So I do just want to put that out there and make that known that this story will not be coming out like September, November, December. This will have some time behind it. I am shooting to have volume 0 released by July of next year. At the very latest, I want it to come out by next year, December. And honestly, if I'm able to push it out even earlier, that would just be a W. But that is a realistic goal that I want to set with myself so that I'm not actually trying to kill myself while getting the story out. I am still going to be giving updates on the status of the manga itself and giving updates to where I'm at within the story. That is the roadmap for this story in volume 0. As of now, I'm really just prioritizing the fundamentals, working on, and while I'm also doing that, I'm finishing up on the script and I'm also working on the storyboard. This will be a journey and I will still be uploading every week, just giving updates, doing videos on other topics, techniques that I'm trying to work on, and just basically making this a full-fledged diary for what's to come. So if you guys have any interest in the story after me giving a brief explanation of it, just let me know down in the comments, give this video a like. And honestly, if you do want to know a little bit about the story without me trying to be too spoiler heavy, I can give you some more context. Just ask in the comments below and I'll kind of give an explanation as much as I can without, like I said, spoiling too much, because that is literally my main concern. My main concern is just I don't want to exposition dump too much and I don't want to spoil the story too much. I don't even want to spoil the story at all. I just want premise to be out, and then when the story comes out, you guys will see. Maybe in the future I will start streaming and I will kind of answer questions there too, so just be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will be seeing you guys next week.